330 people were arrested. There were 8 stabbings. 3 people are fighting for their lives. And over 70 police officers, men and women, were stabbed, attacked, assaulted, whatever. And not one sign of Starmer's militia on the streets of Notting Hill. Now, everybody who watches and listens to this station knows what I'm talking about. Is that what we've come to? Because that is 2-tier goddamn policing. Why were those 330 not dragged from their beds this morning on Sky and every other television network so that the country knows that that sort of behaviour in the streets is not allowed? Or is it only if you're from the right? That's the question.
Well, you got it exactly right there. Sadiq Khan has gone and said, oh, it's such a wonderful, fabulous event, this. Isn't it marvellous? Isn't it brilliant? Some other inferior news channels have said things like, well, there may have been quite a lot of stabbings and 3 firearms collected, by the way, but it's been mostly a fantastic, wonderful, peaceful event. Especially, I think Sunday was billed as the Children and Families Day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just absolutely ludicrous that people can still try and say with a straight face that we don't have a 2-tier policing system. But look, to some extent, I get why. There's an awful lot of people who attend this event, and the police don't have the resources and the manpower to be able to deal with it. But I can't help but think that if you were to kettle these people in and do a bit of stop and search and a bit of proper processing, given the numbers that we've actually found of assaults, of sexual assaults, of drugs, of firearms, of stabbings, of knives, all the rest of it, if you processed all those people and actually gave them some decent, hefty jail sentences, goodness me, how much safer would London be as
but that's the point. So we're saying, are we? Let's have the conversation. It's the Notting Hill Carnival. It's celebrating the Caribbean. I've been there more times than anybody in the world, right? Love it. Absolutely love it. Somebody once said to me, what's the greatest thing about Barbados? The Bajan. The Bajan people are unbelievable. But what we're saying is, are we, that we're not going to do anything about Notting Hill for fear of, the same example as to why it took 8 years to get the British Pakistani men in Rotherham to stop abusing 7- and 8-year-old white girls, because I absolutely will maintain, if they dragged me out the studio, if those had been white men, the thing would have been sorted quicker. And that's what Starmer needs to understand. It's not racist to say that. We want absolutely what you did to the right, but it needs to be across the spectrum, doesn't it, JP?
Yeah, absolutely right. This George W. Bush, remember him back in the good old days, used to talk about the soft bigotry of low expectations. And the biggest victims of crime, the biggest victims of black-on-black violence, it's clues in the title. It is people who are being attacked by some of the people who are going around carrying these knives. We've seen the videos. They're not knives anymore. They're bloody great swords, frankly.
Yeah.
The biggest victims of these people are not the politicians who are holed up behind gated communities and behind police officers and things like that. It's other people from these communities, and we do a massive, enormous disservice to the many, many, many black Britons, Pakistani origin Brits, all the rest of it, who are the biggest victims of these things. Same with Islamism, by the way. And what you end up doing is having people that read The Guardian say, well, it must just be a part of their culture to go around stabbing. Can you hear yourself saying that that is basically what you admit to? No, it cannot be that. We cannot say, well, it was a mostly peaceful protest apart from the stabbings. In the same way that, people attacked the idea that Donald Trump used to say there were good people on both sides.
A woman got put in jail for kicking a wheelie bin. Yes, she looked like fine, right? No, but we're laughing. Good, right? Set fire to a wheelie bin, kicked it towards the police. But you've stabbed somebody in Notting Hill and you go, I'm sorry, it doesn't add up to anybody with a brain cell. Can I tell you?
Look, he has inherited a mess, that's true. And I guess my main contention, as I said at the top of this, was that whilst the Tories did some good things, they didn't fix enough of the bad things, and the rot goes much, much deeper. So if he is a head teacher and he's got Ofsted coming in, it's not enough just to give the walls a lick of paint. We've got to get a proper disciplinary system in if we're wanting to get A grades. I know I'm torturing the metaphor there, but does anybody seriously think that Starmer's the guy to be able to turn this around based on the first 2 months? I don't think anybody really believes that, whether he's got fancy new suits and glasses or not.